Be honest, how often do you back up your website? It's such an easy thing to do, and if something goes wrong with your website, it will save you time, money, and stress. Hi, I'm Julia Taylor, CEO and founder of GeekPack, and in today's video, I am going to show you a very simple way to back up your website. But first things first, why should you back up your website? Now, without stating the obvious, backing up your website essentially means you're taking a copy of your website and you're putting it somewhere else in case something goes wrong with your website. So if something goes wrong with your website, you can rest assured knowing that you have a copy that you can restore if something goes wrong with this original website. But why would you need to restore your website? I'm glad you asked. So here are a few examples of when you might need to restore your website. Maybe you update a plugin or a theme and then something goes wrong. So it's really, really important to keep your websites updated and maintained. However, sometimes when you update a plugin or a theme, there can be some incompatibility that will cause your website to crash. Having a backup means that instead of panicking, you can easily restore your website and be back up and running just like normal. Websites get hacked. If for some reason this happens to you, having a backup gives you the security to know that you have a copy available and you can restore your website back to normal. Human error. Humans make mistakes. We're only human, right? You might delete something important or mess up a setting. Maybe you forgot to pay your hosting bill and your website gets taken down. But guess what? It doesn't matter if you have a backup. So we now know why to have a backup. So let's now talk about how to create a backup for your website. It is worth mentioning that there are a lot of really great hosting providers out there that will do daily backups for you. That is why it is so important to choose a really good hosting provider. My recommendations are in the description below. If your hosting provider does not do automatic backups, or you just want to have your own backup, there are a number of ways to do it, but the easiest is with a backup plugin. My preferred backup plugin is Updraft Plus. There is a free version and a paid version, and honestly, the free version does everything that you need. All right, let's dive in. We are going to use a plugin to create a backup for our website, and we are going to, I'm going to show you how to restore that backup to your website if something does go wrong. So here we are, I'm on the demo site, and we are going to install the Updraft Plus plugin. So first I want to go to the dashboard, and I'm going to go to plugins and click on add new. And in the search bar, I'm going to search for Updraft, and it's this first one here, so we want to click on install now and then activate. So when you first install Updraft Plus, it has this really good kind of walkthrough to show you how to get started. So let's follow along, and I'm going to press here to start. And what that has done effectively is, if you're wondering when you come back in and take a look, is it's just taken us straight to the settings for the Updraft Plus plugin. And if you want to find that in the future, if you go to settings on the left-hand side, Updraft Plus backups is just there within the settings. So if you ever want to go back and find it, that's how you can. So we're going to follow along with the prompts here, and we are going to take our first backup. And it says here to make a simple backup to your server, press this button, or to set up regular backups and remote storage, go to settings. And we are going to do that next, but let's go ahead and do this first. So I'm going to click on backup now. And I do want to include the database and I want to include the files. So I want these two things to stay checked, and click next. And then it's telling us that we want to create our first backup by clicking backup now. So I'm going to click backup now. Okay, perfect. So we can see here, we now have an existing backup. So we've got the date here. It has the database, the plugins, the themes, uploads, and anything else. And we can see we've got actions where we can restore the backup, which we'll do in a minute, or we can delete it. But first, let's follow along with these prompts. So we've got our first backup, but it does say here to avoid server-wide threats, backup regularly to remote cloud storage. So what we want to do is go to settings, and if you come back in here and you don't have these prompts, it's asking you to click on this tab here, but I'm just going to follow along with the prompts. And here, as it says, we want to choose a schedule of the backups that we want to take. So we absolutely want files and database. And I want to do this not manually. I want it to run in the background. I love when anything kind of just runs in the background without me having to think about it, and backups are included. So I want to do this regularly. I'm going to, I guess it depends on your site and how often you make changes, how many site visitors you have. Do you have an e-commerce site? If you have a lot of visitors or make a lot of updates, or if you have an e-commerce site, then I would recommend you would want it to do it more regularly, perhaps daily. I would say for a lot of folks, you could probably get away with doing it weekly. It really is entirely up to you. So just for the sake of picking something, I'm going to choose daily. And then I want to retain 4 backups at a time. And I will do the exact same here, daily, and I will say 4. And then I will click on next. So the next step is to pick your remote storage. So the destination of where you want this backup to go. So you will have server backups kind of here on the site, but you also really want backups to be stored elsewhere, somewhere remote that doesn't have anything to do with your site. And I'm a big fan of Google. So I would save everything to my Google Drive. Now the prompt here is suggesting that you could do remote storage through their paid option. That is an option if you want to. I'm going to click next, and I'm going to close out of this for all the other settings, but I'm going to come back up here because I want to choose remote storage. And like I said, I'm going to choose Google Drive. So when I click Google Drive, you then you can name the Google Drive folder, leave all this as is, and then when you come all the way down, when you click on Save Changes, it is going to prompt you and say, okay, great, you've picked Google Drive. Now you need to authorize access to your Google Drive account. So when you get to this step, all you need to do is click this link. It will open up your Google Drive, and you just want to go through the prompts, give Updraft access to your Google Drive, and then that will be all set up and it will run in the background. So once you do that, make sure you save the changes and you will have your remote storage for your backup all set up. All right, so we have our backup. We have set up our remote storage backup. We've set up the backups to happen automatically in the background, which is awesome. So say we're working away on our beautiful website and all of a sudden something goes wrong and you lose a whole bunch of your content. So, oh no, where are all my pages? Everything that I've done is gone. What do I do now? And this is where we will show you how to restore a backup. So to restore, what we want to do is come back into our dashboard, and we're going to go to Settings and Updraft Plus. And we are going to come down here to our existing backup, and we're going to click on Restore. And here it asks, what do we want to restore? And in this case, we want to restore everything. So I'm going to click all of those and click Next. And then it's letting us know, great, we have found a backup. So now we can go through the process. So click Restore. And this is all going to run in the background. It's verifying. It's going to pull the database, the plugins, the themes, uploads, everything. All right, restore successful. So now we want to go back to the Return to Updraft Plus configuration. Click that blue button. And it will bring us back here to this page. So what we want to do now is take a look at the site. Did it actually restore back to what it needed to be? And it did. Amazing. So what I would say now is make sure you go in and kind of check the pages, make sure everything looks as it should, back to how it actually was. And this does. This all looks fantastic. So next we want to come back to Updraft Plus. So I'll go back to the dashboard and Settings and Updraft Plus. One last step. Here, what it says here at the top is the install has old directories from before we restored. So what we want to do is we want to delete those old directories. So after you check the site, make sure you're happy with everything. Then you want to come in here and delete old directories. And that's it. We can return to Updraft Plus. We can, and then we can come back into our site and carry on working on the website. Do you want to learn more about WordPress? Well, be sure to sign up to my free WordPress workshop. And if you want to be notified about new YouTube videos, subscribe and then be sure to click the bell to be notified when a new video drops.